Hello kind people of YouTube and welcome back to another video. Today's just gonna be a short one. I don't quite have the time to do my regular long news update videos today. Very sorry about that. I will be back with one tomorrow. But I just want to take a look at the markets because we've seen a pretty significant crash today. After falling from over $200 billion market cap to between $180 and $185 billion a couple days ago, we saw the markets crash once again in much the same way today. With the market cap now down at $165 billion, which I believe is the worst it has been in all of 2018. This is looking quite apocalyptic if you're just taking a quick look. Now, I'm personally not worried because, like I said in a video a couple days ago, I think crashes like this, they're not necessarily anything about to say about the long term, and B, they might even be healthy for the market in a variety of ways. But something very interesting is happening here with the top 3 coins that I want to talk about, and let's just refresh this real quick. That is the increased distance that XRP is putting between itself and Ethereum, first of all. Now, if you remember, just a couple days ago, XRP was number 3, Ethereum was number 2. That flipped, and it had flipped already a bunch of times early this year, and like I predicted in a video 2 or 3 months ago, there I said that we would see this happening more and more, that it would be happening more and more frequently at an exponential rate, and that the time for which XRP overtakes Ethereum would also grow significantly. Now, this is the first time that XRP has been able to hold on the number 2 spot for more than a couple hours. And not just that, it has now been there for, I believe, 2 full days. But just looking at the distance now, Ethereum at under $16 billion market cap, XRP at almost $20 billion market cap. That is a whole 20% between XRP and Ethereum. Or if you're calculating from Ethereum, that is almost a third that XRP is higher in market cap than Ethereum. It is looking increasingly unlikely that XRP is going to give up its number 2 spot anytime soon. And with that, we have a lot of discussion about if it might be aiming for number 1 in the future, which I'm going to be looking at these articles in a bit where people go into some arguments about that. But another important thing that I want to talk about here once again with XRP as the focus is that every single coin in the top 10 has made significant losses today. And then we see XRP only down 3%. The nearest other coin is down 8.79%, that is stellar. Everything else in the top 10 is down double digits. And then XRP sits there, just perfectly fine, nothing happening here, nothing, barely even going down. And the same thing already happened the last time the market dropped. When the market dropped, I believe it was 5 billion in total. XRP actually managed to gain 8%, I believe it was, the other day. So XRP has just been doing spectacularly well right now, with the only really big news from the last couple days being that XRP is now on Coinbase custody, with that fueling rumors that it might sooner or later appear on Coinbase Pro or Coinbase's trading platform as well. Now, all in all, that is incredibly interesting because we're seeing a very unusual position for XRP here. XRP is not moving along with the rest of the markets, and we have actually seen XRP lead the markets rather than follow them a couple times in the last couple of months, with at least 2 periods of significant market growth, overall market growth, that was clearly led by XRP, and then other periods where the markets crashed down and XRP either lost significantly less or managed to even gain in that same period. We are seeing XRP in one way decoupling from the market, but in another way also gaining importance to the market movements here. XRP is really asserting dominance here, becoming one of the big players in a way that it wasn't before. But enough talk from me. Let's look at some actual articles about what is going on here so we get the actual numbers in our heads and also some perspectives. And all these articles, of course, as always, linked in the description. The Bitcoin price crossed another psychologically significant milestone on Monday, but unlike the last time it hit this mark, the bulls are no longer cheering. Earlier today, the Bitcoin price fell below $5,000 for the first time in 2018. That is the big number, and we are still below that right now. On Coinbase, Bitcoin fell to $4,950 before bouncing back, taking the flagship cryptocurrency to a 13-month low and reducing its market cap to just 89 billion. As we see right now, it is just 86 billion. It's unclear what precisely is driving the sell-off, though analysts have speculated that it is a combination of uncertainty surrounding the recent Bitcoin Cash hard fork mixed with bearish technical factors, which, if you remember my video from the other day, is exactly the argument I presented as well, exactly my reasoning here, that the general market sentiment and technical factors have been looking bearish for the long term, and against that backdrop, the uncertainty and infighting and just all around awfulness of that Bitcoin Cash hard fork just managed to crash down the entire market. And that seems to be continuing right now. When the Bitcoin price hit the 5,000 mark for the first time last year, it triggered a massive sell-off as crypto traders took profits ahead of the market's parabolic run-up. Investors can only hope that, conversely, today's foray back below the level will trigger a similar correction to the upside. Analysts remain divided on whether and when that will occur. Mohammed El Erbian, I probably mispronounced that, I'm very sorry, I'm terrible at names, chief economist at Allianz, said earlier this year that he expected Bitcoin to level out near $5,000, a prediction at which crypto bulls scoffed when he first made it in June. Technical analyst Willy Woo, however, has forecast that the Bitcoin price decline will likely continue into the second quarter of 2019 before the market turns a corner and begins the long journey back to its all-time high. Now, I have seen people throw around numbers anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 for where they now expect the Bitcoin price to end up in the near future, with the main reason for that being that this significant downturn has just broken through all the indicators, and that 5,000 is a massive psychological barrier. Now, once that is broken, who knows how far that fall might continue. Now, honestly, I'm completely unsure where the price is going to go. I know that I'm not worried long term, but within the next couple weeks or months, we might see a price that goes much closer to the levels before the 2017-2018 bull run than a lot of people are comfortable with. And a lot of people will probably be fleeing out of the crypto markets. But like I argued in other videos, that isn't necessarily bad for the long term. A lot of these people that are rushing out, that are scared, that are cutting their losses, they weren't really making considered investments. They FOMO'd into the markets. They're essentially bad for the health of the market because they're speculators. They're not in it because they believe in the long-term prospects of these projects. But let's take a look at XRP here. Which major pages still end up calling Ripple all the time. No, Ripple is the company, XRP is the token. Please be better. It should be XRP overtakes Ether with ease. Over the last 24 hours, XRP has fallen by 9.5% against the US dollar. Well, if you're looking at the value right now, it has only fallen 3%. Still, it overtook Ethereum to become the second most valuable. This is actually an article from a tiny, that is looking a tiny bit further back. On November 17th, XRP recorded an increase of value around 8% during a period in which most major cryptocurrencies, including both Bitcoin and Ethereum, struggled to maintain momentum. The short-term rally of XRP on Saturday allowed it to take a lead over Ethereum, comfortably surpassing Ether with a market cap of 19.1 billion. As of September 19th, the market cap of Ethereum remains at 15.9 billion. And here they're giving a few potential reasons why this is happening. Essentially, mainly coming down on general market sentiment, on Ripple further expanding their RippleNet services that include XRP using the XRP token, as well as the Coinbase custody news that we got the other day. But the interesting thing this takes us to is that looking at how well XRP has been doing while everyone else has been doing badly, and with people predicting prices all the way down to $2,000 for Bitcoin. Now keep in mind, $2,000, that is about 40% of the current price. Now, what would the market cap at that point be? The market cap at that point would be under 50 billion, unless I'm completely off here. The market cap would be around 35 billion? I'm not that good with math, but It should be around 40 billion. That is only twice of XRP's market cap right now. And with how well XRP has been doing, we have seen the XRP price double in the last couple of months. We saw it shoot from 25 to 70 cents before settling at about 50. So if it just returns to those 70 cents, XRP will have a market cap of, what will it be then? It will be a good 40% higher than right now. So that would take it to 28, while Bitcoin is at 40 or so. That is getting awfully close. And now some people are predicting that XRP might be on towards the number 1 long term. And this is from Ethereum World News. XRP flipping Bitcoin talk heats up on social media. Since XRP's market cap surpassed that of Ether last week, discussion regarding the asset's long-term prospects has popped up in droves, with the project's dedicated following taking to Twitter to tout their flavor of the month, so to speak. As recently put by Marty Greenspan of eToro, the go-to digital asset for Ripple Labs is basically winning social media. Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao, better known as CZ, acknowledged the XRP community as well, joking that the asset's shill is strong, before subsequently telling his followers to flush this wanton shilling out of their system in an apparent joke. Still, while Zhao might have given XRP advocates a chance to vent steam, while Bitcoin found a home at 5,600, now keep in mind now it is under 5,000, XRP went on its own self-contained micro bull run, recently recovering from its November 14th multi-week low. As put by the Crypto Dog, a well-known pseudonym crypto analyst, XRP and XMM looking like they're ready to start alt season all by themselves. But while calls for an altcoin season were present, some took these feelings to the extreme, with Ripple Riddler talking to Twitter to jokingly express that before the end of 2018, XRP will be number 1 in terms of market cap, adding that big things are right around the corner. Now, I'm not all that familiar with Ripple Riddler. I think he is one of those accounts that are pretty much just that claim to have insider information and that are cryptically giving out hints of those. Now, I'm not sure if Ripple Riddler is one of those accounts, but in general, if he is, I think those accounts are pretty much, I'm sorry, I think these are bullshit artists. I'm a strong supporter of XRP, but I think any social media account that is giving people riddles about the alleged future events, especially if they're predicting exact prices, I always think that is just utterly ridiculous. That is, Ripple is far too professional a company to let anyone from their own staff do that. They would be cracking down on accounts like these that are leaking out information or even just hinting at future events so quickly, and that just makes me believe that all of these are just people with too much free time on their hands. But I mean, it's always good fun, especially if we get predictions like $589 by end of year. Which, I mean, theoretically that is possible. I don't see that happening in the next 6 weeks, honestly. But I mean, it's always nice to see people talking about that. I'm a massive XRP supporter, but I don't think we're gonna see it shoot into the hundreds of dollars anytime soon. I think in the long term it will be one of the biggest coins, one of the most valuable projects. And I think XRP is probably one of the safest, if not the safest investment for the long term in the crypto world. But I don't think we're gonna see 1,000-time returns on our investment within the next couple of weeks. That strikes me more as wishful thinking. But I mean, I like the enthusiasm. I just personally don't buy it. What I do think is that if current trends continue, if we see, especially with Ripple gearing up its adoption of RippleNet and XRapid, with just recently we saw money movements on the XRP network that hint towards a lot more companies starting to use the XRP token. I think that could very well result in the price doubling, tripling, quadrupling in the next couple of months. That is perfectly realistic. You have to keep in mind, XRP right now 50 cents. It has in the last bull market reached almost $4 per token just of hype alone. Now we actually have use cases. We have a massive company with well-established connections to financial organizations behind it. I think there's a very good chance if these trends continue, if Bitcoin continues dropping like it has, if XRP continues being able to cut through the market and not be affected by downturns, I think there's a very good chance that it will go progressively closer to Bitcoin. Now, I'm not sure if I see it flipping Bitcoin anytime in the next couple of months. I think that is more of a long-term project, but I'm not going to rule it out. And honestly, with the way things are going right now, all that XRP needs to go crazy is to end up on Coinbase, which I know a lot of people don't like Coinbase, but that is just what I think will happen to the market if it does get listed on Coinbase. Coinbase has a track record of shooting prices up, as much as a lot of people personally dislike Coinbase, and I understand people's arguments for that. It is undeniable that Coinbase being on Coinbase means a lot more people have access to a certain cryptocurrency, a lot more people can buy XRP easily if it is on there, and it lends legitimacy to XRP, which XRP doesn't really need, but it can't hurt. But let's actually continue with this article a bit. Whitler's comments are evidently alluding to the controversial sentiment that eventually XRP will oust Bitcoin before establishing hegemony over the cryptosphere as a whole. XRP even received some clout from Ran Neuner of CNBC Africa, who claimed that Bitcoin Cash's ongoing hash war only highlights that investors should dump Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, and then subsequently reallocate their wealth into the now second highest capped digital asset. Neuner even went on to issue a poll about how crypto investors would allocate their wealth into crypto over a 10-year period, and to the surprise of some, XRP's proponents actually outed Bitcoin's, I think they mean ousted, beating the world's first cryptocurrency by a staggering 2,000 votes. After the image below, which highlights the Grim Reaper knocking on the door of Bitcoin after massacring Ether, Litecoin Stellar Lumens, garnered 1,100 likes and 325 retweets, further cementing the asset's popularity and notoriety. Now, once again, I'm not sure how much use these images are. I think if it's all in fun, that is one thing. Now, none of these cryptocurrencies have actually died, and especially Ethereum. Now, XRP has managed to beat Ethereum in market cap, but regardless of anything else, Ethereum and the Ether token is extremely promising technologically. There's a lot of good stuff happening there. They have good people behind their technology, and there's a lot of development happening on top of it. So that is a fantastic platform either way. I really don't like how this is usually being framed as a battle, because I don't think one cryptocurrency needs to destroy another to be valid. I think a lot of these projects have different purposes, and they can completely coexist. I don't think just because you support one particular project, because you have belief in one project and the team behind it, in their use cases, in their long-term potential, I don't think that means that you need to hate every other cryptocurrency. Not even necessarily ones that have similar use cases and similar goals, because cryptocurrency has so much future potential, and there is so much space. There's space for everyone. There is space for everybody. Now, I think it is incredibly interesting, and it is meaningful which order cryptocurrencies have, because whether you like it or not, prestige and perceived value are important. So if XRP can claw its way up to number 1, I think that will be incredibly important for the long run, for what XRP will mean to the market, for how investors will treat XRP, for which position it will have on exchanges, on news websites, for how people talk about it, for what traditional investors know about it. That will have incredible consequences. But even if this does happen, that doesn't mean all the other cryptocurrencies have been slayed or destroyed, or that they're awful. No, that just means that XRP is doing spectacularly well. And while there is a competition aspect, of course, to having these comparisons by market cap, I think we need to be careful not to quite overdo it, because there's no point in attacking each other. In the end, most people in the cryptocurrency world have similar long-term beliefs, have similar ideals. We are all in it because we believe there is significant long-term potential here, that cryptocurrency can change the world, that there's real potential in these technologies, that we might be able to really change the way a lot of things work in the world for the better. And I think that should be our unifying thing, rather than hating each other or hating the projects that others support. I try to be very careful here not to bash cryptocurrencies on this channel, unless they are like completely nonsense projects that are just created to make a quick buck. Unless they're ICO scams or something, I try not to attack something too harshly here. So I think that is always a good takeaway. But in general, this video, I just wanted to talk about what was happening to the markets, and I do think XRP is very much looking like XRP has firmly established itself in spot number 2 here. Just a day or two ago, I would have said that XRP's position is very shaky, but it has now managed to gain another $2 billion in distance from Ethereum. It takes more than one bad day for XRP or one good day for Ethereum now to close that distance. And that, I think, is the most exciting development we've seen in the crypto market in weeks, if not months. Now, we have seen a lot. We have seen Bitcoin Cash just go through hell. We have seen the markets drop, I believe, about $50 billion in a week. But through all of this, XRP has been dominating. XRP has been able to overcome market downturns. XRP has been able to claw number 2 from Ethereum after a month-long battle. And who knows if this will be permanent, but it's at least looking to be this way for the short term now. It's not something that will just change within minutes anymore. And this is incredibly interesting, and now we are setting up that Bitcoin XRP conversation. Before, people were talking about Ethereum possibly toppling Bitcoin at some point. Now it is XRP, and honestly, if these trends continue, right now there's still a lot of distance between those. Right now, if XRP went to $2 overnight, if it went to 4 times its value, that still wouldn't be enough to topple Bitcoin right now. But if these developments continue, if Bitcoin does fall to 3 or even 2,000, if XRP continues to do well, we could see them grow progressively closer. And then with all the good work that Ripple has been doing on building their infrastructure, on developing relationships, on getting more and more banks and financial providers to use their technology, and to slowly but surely get more of them to use the XRP token, most importantly, we might see a lot happening here in the future. And I've been transparent about the fact that I'm a very strong XRP supporter, that I think in the long term they can do a lot. I don't think XRP is necessarily the best cryptocurrency. That is beside the point. I think for the thing that they're doing, for the use case that they're aiming for making international monetary transfers, for making remittance, for making liquidity easier, faster, safer, cheaper, all around more efficient, more fair, more secure, more transparent, and for trying to go for established systems that aren't working. Like Swift, 45 years old, has barely gotten better in those 45 years, and now XRP comes around. It's a complete paradigm shift. I think for that one use case that XRP is primarily aiming for, it is absolutely spectacular, and the team working for Ripple knows exactly what they're doing. So I think XRP is, I'm looking at it as more like a company than I look at it like a cryptocurrency. And some people don't like XRP for that, and I get that. I just personally don't agree, but I get that. So I don't think that necessarily means XRP is the best cryptocurrency. I just think XRP has crazy potential, and that it makes perfect sense for it to move independently from the markets, and we're going to see that more. And while the markets might continue crashing in general, there's very good reason to believe that XRP might only be going up in the future. And that is very exciting for me. And with that, I'm already going to end today's video. I'm sorry it was a bit of a rambly mess. I just wanted to talk to you guys about this because it's a very exciting time. It's also a very scary time, but I'm positive in the long term everything will be all right. The crypto markets have been through worse crashes. The crypto markets have been through longer crashes. And through all of this, we are building infrastructure, we are building awareness, we are developing technology, we're developing use cases, we're developing partnerships. The crypto world will come out of this long crypto winter stronger than ever before. I am absolutely certain of that. The only question is when. And until then, it looks like XRP is the only major crypto token that is not actually going through a bull market. And it's exciting. It's exciting. And who knows what this means for the future, but I'm here to watch, and I hope you guys are as well. And with that, I'm ending this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Tomorrow, back to normal news update videos. All the links to the articles in my description. There's a lot more there. I didn't read them out fully, and I'll see you guys.